Good afternoon, students. It's a mission batch. My name is Satyajit, and we are discussing the daily answer writing test number 16, which hails from Freedom Struggle. So let's move to questions. I hope सोपी के लिए तुम्हाला. The question number one is the Quit India movement more than anything united Indian people against British rule. And the question is asked, is discussed. So first of all, the syllabus keyword is Quit India movement. And second one, more than anything, it united Indian people. So we have to focus on how it united the Indian people. So united. Basically, the demand of the question. So let's focus on the demand. Demand is such that how, to what extent, or how the Quit India movement was responsible for uniting Indian people. So we have to justify, we have to prove that, or we have to demonstrate how Quit India movement was responsible in unifying the Indian people, irrespective of society, gender, caste, creed, etc., etc., etc. So we'll just how it united, or to what extent it united. So as you know, it is a 10 marker question, and we are provided with the two pages for 10 marker question, and the 10 marker question is for 150 words, and if it is 15 marker, so you get to 50 words word limit, and for 15 markers we get three pages, and for 10 markers we get 2 pages. So we have to structurize our answer into 2 pages. Plus 20 words are tolerable in the mains, but I recommend not to go beyond plus 20 questions. So it will be like more than up to the 175, 170 words in 10 markers. So we'll just classify, we will just divide our 2 pages. So first of all, the structure is, as it is 10 marker, we get 2 pages. So as usual, the 2 spaces are reserved. First is introduction and second is conclusion. So like 25 to 30 words are for introduction, and same likewise 25-30 words, max 35 words for the conclusion. So it becomes 3 to 4 lines for introduction and 3 to 4 lines for conclusion. And more of की तुम्हाला माहित पण असेल की generally we get on an average one student or candidate writes 16 to 17 lines per pages. So 16 plus 16 or 17 plus 17 is 34. 34 minus introduction plus conclusion, that is 8 lines. It goes 26 lines. So we have to plan very accurately our answer. So first of all, we'll divide these 3 lines to our introduction, or max 4, and then again 3 lines to our conclusion. Now the question is asked, the Quit India movement more than anything united Indian people against British rule. So simply we have to prove how it united, or it actually united, and to what extent it united, were there some limitations, etc., etc. So as you know, the demand is, so we have to justify how it united, to what extent it united. So simply there are no any other subpart in the question. This question is very straightforward about unification, and so our whole body, this is introduction and this is conclusion, and our body will start from here and it will go up here. Okay, straightforward. The body will just majorly include the how it united. So simply you will just write Quit India movement united, like, or whatever you can write. Quit India movement united the Indian people, etc., etc. And then we'll start writing our answer in the point format, or you may go for a paragraph format, etc. Whatever your the presentation skill may be, like 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, etc., etc. So point, it is 10 marker question. So 10 more than 10 points are not prepared. 10 marker will contain 10 points, except introduction and conclusion. So simply, as you know, the content part, the first question is about Quit India movement. So Introduction in modern India, the introduction should contain, or most preferably, you should prefer to write the introduction as a background of that question, or why that event happened, what were the background events which led to that event. So it creates a organic link in the introduction to the body to the conclusion. So it is preferred, or it is recommended that in modern India or any history topic, you must write, or you should go for the introduction as a background. So as it is question of Quit India movement, you know the background of this movement is the Cripps mission. So we'll focus on the content part. So content is like this. Content is like this. We'll go like introduction will be the background, as we have currently discussed. Background in sense, the Cripps mission failed, and the All India Congress Committee called for a meeting, called for a conference at Bombay, where Mahatma Gandhi declared Quit India movement at that Gavalia tank, right? So Mahatma Gandhi declared Quit India movement, or Do or Die, Quit India movement on 8th of August 1942. So you have to write this whole data, like Cripps mission failure led to the All India Congress Committee's meeting, and then it led to the declaration of the Do or Die slogan, and likewise it was the start of the Quit India movement, and the date was the 8th August of 1942. And how, and this introduction will suffice, and we'll move to how the body will start. The body will contain, the body, as you know, body will contain unifying, the body will contain like that. You have to prove how it united, right? So simply, Quit India movement, so you will prove with first content point. The Quit India movement was a very spontaneous movement. It was anger towards that British rule, that enough is enough. Now the first point will be, it was a spontaneous movement, right? It was spontaneous movement. It created a wave of nationalism, spontaneous wave of nationalism. Like, that's why all the sections, nearly all the sections of the society, including your women, students, laborer, industrialists, then zamindars even, middle class, backward class, etc., etc. All these sections of society joined their hands together. They came shoulder to shoulder, and they participated very enthusiastically, very spontaneously into Quit India movement. Actually, not enthusiastically, it was anger towards the British Raj. So first of all, you will say that the spontaneous movement led to the nationalism wave, which drew all the sections of the society together. Secondly, all the regions, even all the regions of India, regions. This was about, the first point was about the sections of the population, and the second point is about regions. All the regions like North, South, East, West, Central India, etc., including Northeast, they all joined in the Quit India movement. Though the focus point was Bombay, Calcutta, and Madras, but all the other sections, all other regions were not apart from this Quit India movement. And thirdly, it was the immediate agenda was, they demanded for immediate independence. They demanded for the immediate independence. Fourthly, it also encouraged Parallel government, you know about this. Parallel governments or underground activities. Underground activities like Usha Mehta did. She founded a underground radio station. Or you can go for Prati Sarkare, parallel governments in Satara, etc., etc. And then lastly, it also was the Quit India movement also led to the birth of the future leaders, future leadership. Just like Jayaprakash Narayan, Kripalani, Usha Mehta, etc., etc. Right? And lastly, very important, as the question is about how it united people, so you can go for irrespective of gender, irrespective of gender, irrespective of caste, irrespective of region, irrespective of class, irrespective of status, do they hail from urban area or do they hail from rural area? It didn't matter at that time. So irrespective of this caste, region, class, status, etc., etc., they went for like having a unified force against this British rule, which was very responsible for the independence in 1947. The very the stone that was thrown at very forceful direction, in the forceful direction, was the Quit India movement. So you can go for the proving like irrespective of gender, caste, region, class, status, religion, very important, religion. Again, Quit India movement saw to much extent, Hindu Muslim unity. So yes, of course, Quit India movement was a unifying force. However, then so as the question is discussed, we have to just add the another dimension, a very quick dimension to it. Another dimension is that discuss, as it is asked, discuss. So you may go for, however, there were some limitations. As the Quit India movement was not a complete unification. Some other sections, for example, the big zamindars, you can go for a Muslim League, etc., etc. They were separated, or they did not participate in this Quit India movement. So first of all, it was not complete unification, not completely united, though united to the large extent, not completely united. So you can go for example, Muslim League. You can add example, Muslim League withdrew. Secondly, second limitation of this Quit India movement was it was largely leaderless. That means the mainstream leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, etc., they were barred behind the bars or the jails just after the declaration of the Quit India movement, and it led to the movement being very spontaneous, and which was of course, yes, it was leaderless. So it was to much extent leaderless. Mainstream leaders actually, and then plus in many areas violence was observed in the Quit India movement. Violence. So it was again to some extent it was violent, which was against Gandhian ideology of non-violence and satyagraha, which was very departure from this Gandhian ideology. And thirdly, there were very brutal repressions. So first point was it was not complete unification. The second point was like the leaderless, and to the much extent the mainstream leaders were very separated from. And the third is there were observations of the brutal repression, which led to the death of the Quit India movement itself. However, as this was only 20% of your body, the limitation part, as it is asked, discuss. Now the body is fine. We'll go to the next. How to conclude? Yeah. I will just summarize before we will go for the conclusion. In the introduction, we discussed about the background of Quit India movement. What events actually led to the major event was the Crips India movement. What major events led to the formation of or the declaration of the Quit India movement. In the body part, we just justified with the different points how, irrespective of your religion, irrespective of your age, caste, status, gender, classes, etc., it led to the unification of the Indian society towards British force, towards common enemy, peasants, laborers, all were there, right? And as it is the question of discus, so we just added another dimension, which was 20% of the body. Another dimension was like what were the limitations of this Quit India movement, and these limitations were actually the first very important. It was not complete unification. Second, it was largely leaderless, and it was violent. And then lastly, to much extent, it was repressed, right? And then we'll conclude as we have to signify the what is the significance of this the movement. We'll conclude like that despite these repressions, despite this not complete unification, or despite to the large extent it was like leaderless, despite being very violent in the form of the nature, it actually led to the withdrawal, right? It actually led to the Quit India movement was the last nail in the coffin, I know, because there was no retreat henceforth. The participants were so determined that it was not no withdrawal from this movement. So it was the last nail in this coffin, and it led to the withdrawal of British Raj after World War. And you can go for like this Quit India movement was a symbol that the independence was not the matter of bargain henceforth. Independence was not the matter of bargain. What does it mean? Independence was not a matter of bargain. So they demanded complete independence, no dominion status, no common, nothing other than independence. That's why Quit India movement signified very important message to the British Raj that it led. It stated that independence was not to be the point of the bargain. This is the conclusion. Because in conclusion, we have to signify the significance of the Quit India movement, right? So fine, we'll move to the second question. Second question is about examine. So the directive word is about examine. What does examine mean actually? Examine mean you have to prove with examples your arguments with data, etc., etc. So you have to examine how Gandhi's earlier experience in South Africa shaped freedom movement in India. Gandhi's earlier experience in South Africa shaped freedom movement in India, transiting through the moderate phase to Gandhian phase. Of course, when Gandhi arrived in 1915, he traveled throughout the India for at least 1 year, and then we can say in the history it was named as the Gandhian era, where the Gandhian leadership came forth, and then Mahatma Gandhi led the freedom struggle movement. So first of all, as you know, there are directly asked what was Gandhi's experience in South Africa, and what were the lessons learned from that, and how those lessons actually help to shape or to innovate the styles of the Indian freedom struggle. So how that innovation came forth. So as the demand of the question is, I will discuss what is the demand. Actually, the demand of the question is you have to just state the relationship between Gandhi's early experience in South Africa, which shaped the freedom struggle movement in India. So, what was his experiences in South Africa, and how they shaped Indian freedom struggle, right? How they shaped Indian freedom struggle. So, of course, again, we'll focus on the structural part. Question is very straightforward. There are no other subtopics. So, first we'll introduce here, then the body will start from here. And the body is a single part. So, you will state body part ki how it, what were the experience and how that shaped the Indian freedom struggle. This part. Okay. Simple. So, as to focus with the content part. we will start with the introduction, which majorly focuses on, which will majorly focus on what actually Gandhiji did in South Africa. What were its initiatives there? And then in the body part, we'll discuss the significance of those initiatives. What was the innovation and how it led to the shaping of the Indian freedom struggle. So first, introduction to Gandhi's initiatives in South Africa. You know, the very important initiative by him in South Africa was Natal Indian Congress, Indian Natal Congress. Then secondly, actually it fought for the rights of those who were repressed by this British government there. Then second was Tolstoy farm. It was the campaigning of satyagrahis, and thirdly, he innovated satyagraha as a method to fight the repression. So if you can relate the Gandhi's innovation or Gandhi's new techniques in the Indian freedom struggle, they were actually ahimsa, truth, non-violence, and satyagraha. Basically, all those methods were tested and proven and experimented by him. Firstly experimented by him in South Africa, then it were tested and it was proven. So you can say that the very foundation of these innovative techniques of the Mahatma Gandhi's new struggle, new styles of the fight, they were led actually in South Africa. So through this initiative and many more, 2-3 more, Indian Natal Congress, this Tolstoy farm, Satyagraha, etc., etc. He introduced his intention to fight for the cause towards those in the South Africa who were repressed by this British government. So we'll just focus on how, because that is not a discussion point, that is not the demand of the question actually. The demand of the question is actually how these initiatives or these trials shaped the Indian freedom struggle. So we'll focus on the content. So content is like that, body part. The very important lesson from all these movements, like I can write here in short, this Indian Natal Congress, then you can go for Satyagraha, and then you can go for Tolstoy farm, etc., etc. So very important lesson what Gandhi learned. Masses have very immense power to participate, to fight against those who are being who is the oppressor, right? So very important innovation that founded the very basis of the Indian freedom struggle was mass participation. If you look at this over the timeline of the Indian freedom struggle, before Gandhian era, it was limited to very limited groups, either they might be extremists or they might be moderates, but they were very less in number, very limited in number. They were concentrated in the particular regions of the Indian subcontinent, like Calcutta, Bombay, Madras, etc. They hailed from very educated families, they hailed from rich families, many of them, and then they were belong to the higher classes, etc., etc. So you can, if you analyze, before Gandhi, the Indian freedom struggle was very exclusive in the sense. But what actually Gandhi did, what he innovated, he led the mass participation into the movement, which formed the very foundation of the Indian freedom struggle, very wide foundation, right? So you can say the participation foundation of the Indian freedom struggle was widened, but the important lesson Gandhi learned from the South Africa was immense capacity with the masses. So he laid the foundation of the mass struggle. So you can go for the second point with connection to this mass struggle era. He introduced mass struggle era. in the Indian freedom struggle, right? Mass struggle. Thirdly, right, mass struggle in sense कि all these 2 points signify it increased the participation of the people from various sections. So you can just add the third point कि different new sections and different sections and new sections of the society were now were participating, were observed to be participating in the freedom struggle. Very importantly, women, है ना, women, those from the lower classes, middle classes, upper classes, downtrodden, etc., irrespective of their caste and creed, women were participating in a large number because the Gandhian style of satyagraha and non-violence was actually, according to Gandhiji, actually the inner capacity of those women. ही त्यांची स्वतःची कॅपॅसिटीच आहे. सो सत्याग्रह, अहिंसा हे महिलांच्या नेचरमध्येच आहे. दॅट्स वाय की गांधीजींना हे कळालं की यार महिलांचा जो ओरिजिनल फेमिनाईन नेचर आहे हे त्या मेथड्सला सूट होत आहे आणि महिलांना पण ते सूट झालं. दॅट्स वाय वुमेन पार्टिसिपेशन वॉज ऑब्झर्व्ड टू दी लार्ज एक्सटेंट, राईट? Then you can add students on the large extent. Then you can add lower classes, etc., etc. Very importantly, Gandhiji introduced new styles, new innovative struggles, and new, you can say, new techniques of the struggle, new techniques. The technique in the form of satyagraha, fighting for your cause to the last breath, satyagraha. Then you can add non-violence, truth, etc. These were the new techniques. Then fourth, I think it was the fifth point now. Fifth point was key. Innovative, again, these were techniques, and the struggle techniques, these were techniques, and the struggle methodologies, the struggle methods were new innovation, right? Struggle methods like, first of all, non-cooperation, civil disobedience, and prayers. Non-cooperation, civil disobedience, and prayers. Now, all those methods in the fourth point and this fifth, the techniques and these methods, you can observe these were very new to the Indian subcontinent, and it encouraged the wide participation of the people. They participated very enthusiastically. They were non-violent, of course, yes, which required very courageous mind, and it allowed Indian people to participate in the large numbers. And lastly, very important, Gandhi's methods, the experiences from the South Africa, their learnings and etc., they were actually the techniques of this attack. The techniques of this fight of Gandhi were actually, they were attacking what? They were attacking what? Actually, they were attacking the conscience, the conscience and the moral of the oppressor. Conscience and moral of oppressor. This was very innovative. Oppressor. This was very innovative because before this Gandhian era, first of all, if you go for the extremists, they attacked very violently to these oppressors. And the second one, the moderates, they actually they did not attack, but they prayed, petitioned, etc. in the constitutional means. But this Gandhian method was actually, you can say, it was extra constitutional, but not illegitimate. It was legitimate and extra constitutional. So, sixth point was attacking the conscience, very conscience and the moral of the oppressor. Yeah. So, likewise, this was our content part. So, you can say that these 5-6 points together, they actually added some innovation, some new techniques in this Gandhian experience of the freedom struggle, which was actually brought from the experience of the South Africa. So, we'll move to this conclusion. Actually, conclusion can be how this contributed to the actual the independence of India. So, you can add all these techniques and all. It led to mass participation, and which founded the foundation of this independence, or which led to the finally independence in 1947. Now, question number 3. Question number 3 is about discuss the achievements and the failures of the non-cooperation movement of 1920. Very straightforward question. Discuss. So, first of all, the demand of the question is keyword is non-cooperation movement, NCM, and demand they have asked is achievements and failure. Simple. आपण मग डिस्कस केलं की इंट्रोडक्शन शक्यतो मॉडर्न इंडियाचं असं घ्यायचं की जे बॅकग्राऊंड एक्सप्लेन करेल त्या घटनेचं. ॲज द कीवर्ड इज नॉन कॉपरेशन, आपण काय करू की इंट्रोडक्शन मध्ये त्याचं बॅकग्राऊंड एक्सप्लेन करू की नॉन कॉपरेशन मुवमेंट ऍक्च्युअली कशामुळे सुरू झाली, राईट, किंवा त्याच्या मागचा काही एक दोन इव्हेंट्स घटना काही घडल्यात का की ज्यानं नॉन कॉपरेशन मुवमेंटला एनकरेजमेंट मिळालं, राईट. सो यू नो दॅट की इन द बॅकग्राऊंड देअर वर इव्हेंट्स लाईक, है ना. So we'll move to this our actual answer. Introduction will be like, several very burning issues were there. First of all, there were Jallianwala Bagh Hatyaakand, which is actually called as Punjab wrongs. And secondly, there were World War I going on, or it was on the last phase. And the issue of Khalifa, or you may go for Caliphate, issue of Caliphate issue, that was burning, which actually hurt the sentiments of the Indian Muslims. So there was demand on the large scale to solve that Caliphate issue because it was hurting the sentiments of the Muslim Islam religion at whole, and particularly in Muslim. We'll discuss in Indian context. So yeah, Khilafat issue, Indian Muslims. That's why Gandhiji, in the 1920 Nagpur session, again, All India Congress, or you may say like this Congress session, it endorsed the plan of non-cooperation. म्हणजे त्यांनी सुरू करायला परमिशन दिली, त्यांनी अप्रूव्ह केला तो प्लॅनला, इट एंडोर्स्ड. So simple. This was the introduction. In the background, Punjab wrongs were there, Khilafat issue was there, and it hurted the sentiments of Muslim. And in 1920 Nagpur session, the Congress went for non-cooperation movement plan was introduced. And it was endorsed. So it led to what? Again, launching of the non-cooperation movement. But our focus of the answer will be what are its achievements and what are its failures. So this is introduction is enough. It will will contain these 3-4 lines. So you can go for the body part. The first is achievements. Achievements were very important. Non-cooperation movement was the mass movement. It was the mass movement after the first mass movement after 1857. So the first mass movement, people were very enthusiastic about the participation. It was the first mass movement after 1857. Second, it was like it politicized the non-cooperation movement. It politicized every strata of the society. Every strata in sense: students, women, zamindars, upper classes, lower classes, Muslim, etc., peasants even, right? So every strata. Third, it actually challenged the myth of invincibility. So ते म्हणतात ना की सूर्य कधी मावळणार नव्हता ब्रिटिश राजचा. So it was the myth of invincibility which was challenged. Invincibility. Myth of invincibility of British Raj was challenged. Then fourth, we can just add as a separate point women and backward classes participation. Fifth, very important, it promoted indigenous products, indigenous industry, after Swadeshi. And then, very important, it was based on Satyagraha movement, non-violence, etc. And just not to forget this point, as non-cooperation movement was also called as non-cooperation, Khilafat non-cooperation movement. It marked very significantly Hindu-Muslim unity. So its achievement was, it marked Hindu-Muslim unity. So achievements were, it was the first mass movement after 1857. It politicized almost every strata of the society. The myth of invincibility of the British Raj was challenged. And to be added as a separate point, women and backward classes participation was observed at very large movement. And then indigenous products were promoted, encouraged, Satyagraha was introduced, and it marked the Hindu-Muslim unity, right? And second point they have asked is, the failures, not limitations, particularly failures. As you know, within a few moments, within few days, it was came to death because of this Chauri Chaura incidents. The very foundation non-cooperation movement was based on was non-violence, and there were some violent activities in Chauri Chaura, which hardened Gandhiji's sentiments. Actually, Gandhi came to know that people were not yet ready for this non-violent methods. They were very new to this non-violent methods, right? So, according to Gandhiji, this was not the time for the non-violent movement at mass basis because of Chauri Chaura incidents. So, you can go for the failure was first violent activities. Violence, जो कि चौरी चौरा था 1922. What does that mean? People were not yet ready. Not ready. People were not yet ready. Then second was, the non-cooperation movement was majorly concentrated in the presidency areas, especially presidency capitals like Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras. Yeah, the concentration was very selective, very particular. Regional divide was there. Third, of course, yes, it was not complete non-cooperation. Not complete non-cooperation, because certain areas like some businesses, etc., some shops were excluded from this non-cooperation movement. There was not complete boycott of this foreign goods, not complete boycott of the foreign offices, not complete boycott of the foreign educational institutions, commercial institutions, etc., etc. That's why we cannot say it was a complete non-cooperation, and then we will just note that point as it is not complete non-cooperation. Fourth, few sections distance from this non-cooperation, because all the sections we just noted in the achievement as major new sections were added in this non-cooperation movement, but actually few sections were actually the distance themselves from this non-cooperation movement. The major such section was Zamindars, Zamindars, and second, the business class. They distance themselves from the non-cooperation movement because of their vested interest, they sought like if they participate in the non-cooperation movement, in the long run, their interest would be threatened. So they chose to distance away or separate away from this non-cooperation movement. And the fifth major failure was, the people were not yet ready. So fine, I think the fourth point are very much justifying. Non-violence, it was violent activity. Then concentrated in the BCM, it was not complete non-cooperation, and the few sections were distanced. from this non-cooperation movement. However, as the conclusion part, you have to give what is the significance. What was the significance of non-cooperation movement? Significance was it removed the fear. It removed the fear from the minds of the people. So it made them fearless, right? It introduced, just introduced. It was not like trusted. It introduced satyagraha as technique, right? And thirdly, it provided new strategies like non-violence to be introduced in the freedom struggle in the future. Because this violence or non-violence was the only parameter on which Gandhiji suspended this movement. So people got very clear about this, very particularly clear about this. It was not going to be tolerated. So violence was not going to be tolerated. So non-violence will be or will have to be the next foundation of the Indian freedom struggle. So yes, of course, at the conclusion, we will say what is the significance of non-cooperation movement. I hope it is clear. If it is clear, we'll move to this next point. Next question. Next question is about question number 4. Question number 4 है कि despite being sensitive to Hindu interest, Lala Lajpat Rai actually championed diversity in unity. है ना, सिंपल क्वेश्चन है कि डिस्पाइट बीइंग हिंदू इंटरेस्ट सेन्सिटिव्ह टू हिंदू इंटरेस्ट. सो क्वेश्चन हा लाला लजपत रायवर यांचे 2 डायमेन्शन ओपन करायचे. हाऊ ही वॉज सेन्सिटिव्ह टू हिंदू इंटरेस्ट. सेन्सिटिव्ह, हाऊ इट वॉज सेन्सिटिव्ह, ही वॉज सेन्सिटिव्ह टू हिंदू इंटरेस्ट. एंड सेकंडली, डिस्पाइट ऑल दैट, ही चैम्पियन फॉर यूनिटी एंड डायवर्सिटी. So the first part of the question is how he was sensitive to the Hindu interests, and secondly, you have to prove despite all those sensitivities, he was actually the champion of unity and diversity. You got the point? So, focusing on the body part. We'll start with introduction. Here, as the personality is asked, so you will go for the introduction by stating his important contribution to the national freedom struggle. So you will just write like that. As the Lala Lajpat Rai's contribution, Lala Lajpat Rai was a very prominent nationalist. Very prominent nationalist leader and a nationalist who played a very important role in the Indian freedom struggle. And focusing on the body part, you will first state first key Hindu interest, how he was sensitive to the Hindu interests. As you know, first of all, he was very much like active in Arya Samaj movement. Secondly, he propagated the idea of Hindu reforms or reforms within Hinduism. Thirdly, you might also be knowing he organized Hindu relief work in the times of disasters like famine, or you may go for floods, etc. So his relief works were very specific to Hindu interest. Actually, what was happening at that time की जेव्हा हिंदू लोकांना प्रॉब्लेम व्हायचा तेव्हा ते काय करायचे की they approached missionaries, and the missionaries with their vested interest, they sought the opportunity in converting those Hindus which were like oppressed or which were like pushed into the poverty due to these disasters. So to safeguard those people from being forcefully converted into this Christianity or through missionaries, he organized Hindu relief. है ना? And then fourthly, in the political terms, he organized Punjab Hindu Mahasabha, Punjab Hindu Sabha, and he was also active in Hindu Mahasabha organizations, Hindu Mahasabha, etc., etc. Right? So I think this is sufficient to prove like how Lala Lajpat Rai was sensitive, है ना? The keyword is sensitive. So you have to prove how he was sensitive to the Hindu interest. So Hindu interest in terms of like this Arya, Hindu reforms, Hindu relief, then Punjab Hindu Sabha, and then Hindu Mahasabha, right? Then the second part they have asked is, and the second part of this question was how Lala Lajpat Rai actually championed diversity in unity. So Lala Lajpat Rai's role as champion of diversity, unity and diversity. You know, he was very sensitive to Hindu interest, but he was against the practice of forceful assimilation of minorities. He was against the practice of forceful assimilation of minorities. At the same time, he also opposed the exclusion of minorities. Secondly, he was against the idea of religious nationalism. The religious nationalism, what is this religious nationalism? And second point is our religious nationalism. He opposed this idea. That means the nationalism based on the identity of religion. He opposed this idea. Or like you can go for Hindu nationalism, Islam nationalism, right? And the third point was he propagated for the common Hindu culture. Common Hindu culture. Actually, Indian culture or the Hindu culture is not specific to it. Was not specific to only Hindu religion, according to Lala Lajpat Rai. It was an amalgamation. It was a mix of all the religions, especially Islam, Hindu, Sikhism, etc. So completely, it is actually it is a diversity in sense, but actually it is unifying in nature. So his concept of Hindu culture, his concept was Hindu culture was actually unifying in nature. And lastly, he also encouraged the idea of the togetherness through like the events such as celebrating various festivals of different religions together. So tentatively, or you can just say these 4 or 5 points prove how Lala Lajpat Rai was actually, though he was insensitive to the Hindu interest, but actually he went for championing those diversities. He actually went for championing those unifying forces. He actually championed for diversity and unity. And lastly, to conclude with Lala Lajpat Rai, you can conclude his important contribution or any other significant event which actually which actually hugely contributed to the Indian freedom struggle. So simple. की you can like काही आठवलं नाही तर सिंपल लिहायचं की ह्या क्वेश्चनचा अर्थ काढून की हाऊ लाला लजपत राय was committed to unity in diversity, which actually founded the foundation of the Indian freedom struggle, which was diversity based, unifying in nature, which was against exclusion, which was against forceful assimilation, which was against separation, which was against deprivation of those who are held as religious minorities. Like then question number 5. Question number 5 is that very simple question was that. Question number 5 is about what was the significance of the Champaran movement in India's journey of freedom struggle? Simple, very straightforward question is that. We'll go like introduction, as the keyword is Champaran. You know that it is freedom, it is what? Peasant movement. Introduction will be the background of this Champaran movement or the causes of the Champaran movement which led to the movement. First of all, you know, there's some specific events like there were some British planters which forced indigo plantation, which is called in the Teen Katiya system. Means third part of this 28 was to the British planters, Teen Katiya. So it was forced plantation against their will of the peasants, forced plantation by the British planters, which was leading to the huge losses. Or you can go for like changing in the cropping patterns, etc., of the peasants. And ultimately, these peasants requested Gandhiji to take up their cause and to participate in the movement, lead this movement, and solve this issue, please. So simply, Gandhiji took the cause, and it led to this Champaran movement. So in this introduction part, all this should come. Ki British planters were forcibly forcing these Indian peasants to plant indigo on their land, forcibly to plant indigo plant on their land on this based on the thin katia system, which was actually not profitable, which was incurring huge losses to the peasants, especially as it was forcible. It was against this interest of those Indian peasants. So these Indian peasants collectively demanded or this requested Mahatma Gandhi to take up their cause. He requested to fight for their cause, and then Gandhiji participated in the movement. And actually, not participated. He actually started the movement. So we'll look into what was actually the significance of this Champaran movement. So significance was, Champaran movement ही इंडिया मधला पहिला सिव्हिल डिसओबिडियन्स डेमॉन्स्ट्रेशन होतं. सिव्हिल डिसओबिडियन्स म्हणजे काय की लॉफुल ज्या टर्मिनॉलॉजीज आहेत किंवा लॉफुल जे ऍक्ट्स आहेत त्यांना डिनाय करणं, त्यांना रिफ्यूज करणं, त्यांना न पाळणं, ह्याला आपण म्हणतो की सिव्हिल डिसओबिडियन्स. ऍक्च्युअली जेव्हा गांधीजी व्हेन ही रीच टू चंपारण and several authorities of British authorities approached him because there was huge crowd, there was huge enthusiasm, people were gathered in the large numbers, and within that various British officers approached Gandhi, and the officers asked Gandhi to leave that area because there were the law and order situation, and Gandhiji simply denied he refused to leave that area. So this refusal part, refusing the orders of the British government officials, this was actually what? It was civil disobedience. So you can say it was actually civil disobedience. The first demonstration of civil disobedience. Second, connected to that, because he refused to leave that area, leave Champaran, there was very dramatic events followed after those refusal. The officials actually arrested Gandhiji, and the people demonstrated in the peaceful manner. They protested in front of the courts, in front of the government offices, etc., etc. There was huge pressure or huge burden, huge pressure on the government to release him. So those dramatic activities, which was arrest and the release, followed by the release, it was very dramatic in nature. But it proved that when people unite, when they protest in peaceful manner, government cannot do against them. If there was anything that can government do in the violent manner, so they succumb to their demands of the people, the British officials. So it was demonstration that mass party or these mass protests had huge capacity. Thirdly, British government formed Indigo Commission, which was actually relief. So it was successful, by the way. The Champaran movement was very successful, and Gandhiji was the part of that commission. So relief was granted. Fourthly, Champaran movement actually connected the issue of peasants with the national freedom struggle. It was very new technique, connecting the issue of the peasants issue. Actually, that was core agricultural issue, core peasant issue in forceful indigo plantation. It was not actually the core freedom struggle issue, not political issue, by the way. But Champaran movement actually connected, it connected the cause of peasants' cause to what? To the freedom struggle. And what happened because of this? Huge number of peasants were now going to be the participants, and most importantly the permanent participants of the freedom struggle henceforth. So Gandhiji's Champaran movement attracted, encouraged, dragged various and large number of peasants to the freedom struggle. Yeah. One more point to add. Of course, yes, Champaran movement was in the non-violent form. It was actually Satyagraha, and it proved the efficacy of Satyagraha. You can just add Gandhiji became the mass leader. It was a mass movement. People recognized the leadership qualities and the efficacy of the leadership of Gandhiji. And now, henceforth, after Champaran, Gandhiji was to lead all those movements till independence. You know that, right? So, simply, you can just add the efficacy of Satyagraha was proven. Then, sixth, people got new leader. So Gandhi's leadership was acknowledged. Mahatma Gandhi acknowledged leadership. Yep. So by these points, you can just prove civil Champaran was very significant event in this Indian freedom struggle because of this civil disobedience first trial. It was mass protest, and it proved the capacity of the masses. Relief work was observed, granted, and then it connected the peasants' cause with the freedom struggle cause. Then it proved the efficacy of Satyagraha, and Mahatma Gandhi's leadership was acknowledged by the people. Yeah, and lastly, you can say, as to conclude, peasants and farmers. Peasants and farmers were to be the permanent participants in the freedom struggle. They followed, actually, this civil, what you can say is Champaran movement politicized in the positive way, politicized the peasants. And now the foundation, the base of the Indian freedom struggle was now widened. That's why you can say that the base of the freedom struggle was widened because of the Champaran, right? So you can move to this next point, the question number 6. I hope the question number 5 is clear. Question number 6 is that examine the background and the objective that were led in Cripps mission plan 1942 and reasons of its failure. Question number 6. It's about Cripps. Simple. Examine the background and objectives that were led in Cripps mission 42 and reasons of failure. 3 major subparts are there. The first subpart is background. Second plan is its provisions or plan. Provisions of Cripps plan. And third, reasons for failure. Not failure, reasons of failure. So first is background, second is what? Provisions, reasons of failure. We'll straightforward start with the Cripps mission. As an introduction and background together, you know that there is background like Southeast Asia. The World War at the time of this Cripps mission, World War II was going on. So in the background, there is event named as World War II and its subsequent events. The very major event that led to the foundation and that led to the sending of the Cripps mission was the British Empire was like on the verge of reversal. It was like on the verge of defeat in the Southeast Asia. Secondly, there was threat of Japanese invasion, Japanese threat. And thirdly, there was pressure from the allies like USA, etc. Pressure from allies to seek the cooperation of the Indian people for this fighting this World War II because allies were on the back foot. So the background was Southeast Asia, Japanese threat and allies pressure on whom? On Britain to seek the cooperation. That's why, to seek the cooperation of the Indian people in the World War II, British government planned for a Cripps mission. The Cripps mission came with a constitutional proposal for this new India after independence, and likewise, what will be the government structure after independence, etc., etc. And in return, Indian people were to give the support to this what World War II efforts of these allies. Simply, the background was like that. In March 1942, a mission called as Cripps mission. It was headed by Stanford Cripps and was sent to India with constitutional proposal to seek Indian support for World War II. Now, what was the plan actually? The content part is about second part, the provisions. Provisions were first dominant status. Very simple. I don't think की तुम्हाला समजून सांगायची गरज आहे आता, because you are appearing for mains. Against the popular demand of independence. So independence was not the plan actually. They proposed for dominant status, like of this Australia, etc. Also, Cripps mission proposed for freedom to join Commonwealth, United Nations, etc., etc. Thirdly, Cripps mission proposed for the constitution, and a constitution making, mostly by Indians. Constitution, and Indians. Now the Indians were to form their own constitution. Now fourth, they proposed for separate constitution for those provinces which were not willing to join the Indian Union. म्हणजे काय की ज्या प्रोव्हिन्सेसला किंवा स्टेट्सला इंडियन युनियन जॉईन नाही करायचं ते त्यांचं सेपरेट युनियन तयार करू शकतात. सो सिम्पल की द फोर्थ पॉइंट वॉज अ सेपरेट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. A separate constitution for those who were not willing to join the Indian subcontinent or Indian Union. Actually, if you analyze, this point is actually the very, very important, because it provided for a, you can say, like balkanization. It was a Balkan plan actually. It was if its plan was approved and executed, इंडियाचे खूप सारे तुकडे झाले असते की ज्या युनियनला ज्या प्रोव्हिन्सेसला इथे जॉईन नाही करायचे, राईट. सो इट वॉज ऍक्च्युअली सेपरेशन प्लान. नाउ अँड द फिफ्थ प्रोव्हिजन वॉज लाईक दॅट की मीन वाईल द डिफेन्स डिफेन्स वॉज मीन वाईल टिल दे गेट इंडिपेंडन्स, डिफेन्स वॉज विथ दिस ब्रिटिश एम्पायर, डिफेन्स सब्जेक्ट, and the powers of the Governor General to be remain intact. Okay. So simply, the Cripps mission plan proposed for dominant status and not complete independence. Secondly, the Cripps mission plan gave freedom to the Indian state to freely join Commonwealth on their will or the United Nations. Thirdly, the constitution, was to be formed, was to be constituted by Indians. Fourthly, if any union or any province was not willing to join the union, the Indian Union, it was to be given freedom to have a separate constitution. Then fifthly, the defense topic was to be with British Empire, and lastly, Governor General's powers were to be intact. So of course, yes, they were very, very, very controversial provisions, especially this one, and you can go for this one, the fourth and the first. These provisions actually mainly led to the failure of this Cripps mission, which was like rejected by the Indian people irrespective of the political parties, like Congress and Muslim League. Likewise, they rejected these proposals. This led to failures. So we'll look into why this failed, why Cripps mission actually failed. So if you look at the Congress band, Congress demanded complete independence, but Cripps provided for limited, you can say, dominant status. Then Congress was again rejecting the idea to secede. The fourth point. Again, Congress was rejecting the idea that there was no immediate plan of independence or power sharing, no immediate power sharing, etc., etc. And on the other hand, the Muslim League also rejected the Scripps mission, majorly on these 2 points. First, they rejected the idea of single union. They were demanding two states, that is two nation theory. They were demanding separate Pakistan, and the Cripps mission did not provide for the separate union, separate Pakistan state, and it provided for a single union, right? So the idea of the single union was rejected by Muslim League, as they were demanding for the separate state of Pakistan. And secondly, this Muslim rights. So it was against the Muslim rights. Cripps mission plan was against Muslim rights. How? Their right to self-determination, was compromised according to Muslim League. राईट टू सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन म्हणजे काय की मुस्लिमांना त्यांचा अधिकार हवा आहे की त्यांना कुठल्या देशात राहायचंय नाही राहायचंय किंवा सेपरेट देश पाहिजे. सो हा जो त्यांचा अधिकार आहे मुस्लिमांचा आहे ना, इस्लाम रिलिजनचा, त्या कम्युनिटीचा, हा जो अधिकार हा थांबवला गेला होता, तर त्याला आपण म्हणू की द राईट टू सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन हा कॉम्प्रोमाइज झाला अकॉर्डिंग टू मुस्लिम लीग. दॅट्स वाय ऑल दीज पॉइंट्स कॉन्ट्रीब्युटेड टू द फेल्युअर. And other political parties likewise, like Punjab Kisan Sabha, other Kisan Sabhas in Madras, the Madras Party, etc., they also rejected the Scripps mission points, that which led to the holistic rejection to the Scripps mission, and which failed these provisions. And of course, yes, as a result, the Indian people did not support to the war efforts of the British, and British were on their own to fight this World War II. So, to the conclusion, this rejection led to this new proposals and new ideas, right? So, focusing on the question number 7, we'll look into the question number 7. Question number 7 about the role played by women in Indian freedom struggle has been that of helpers rather than crusaders. So, simple. Question number 7 is about role of the women. Role of women in freedom struggle. The role was active or passive. So the question, the words they have mentioned, ki they were helpers or were they actually the crusaders? And they have asked critically examine. So आपल्याला उलट पाडायचं स्टेटमेंटला. क्रिटिकल एक्झामिन म्हणजे आपल्याला हे प्रूव्ह करायचंय की रोल ऑफ वुमेन वॉज ऍक्च्युअली ऑफ क्रुसेडर्स अँड नॉट जस्ट हेल्पर्स. सो दे इंडियन वुमेन प्लेड व्हेरी सिग्निफिकंट रोल इन इंडियन फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल, की ज्याला आपल्याला प्रूव्ह करायचंय की त्यांचा रोल इतका इम्पॉर्टंट होता, ऍक्टिव्ह होता, की त्याला आपण ऍज अ क्रुसेडर्स रोल म्हणू शकतो अँड नॉट जस्ट हेल्पर्स. सो फोकसिंग ऑन द इंट्रोडक्शन पार्ट, you can go like this statement कि Indian women played very active role as crusaders, especially after the advent of leadership of Gandhi and Satyagraha technique. But in the body part, we will look into how with the timeline flow and all, कि how the role evolved, and actually since its start, the role was never the helpers, it was actually the crusaders. So we'll prove it. Focus on some important events, right? So, like first of all, pre 1857, we will analyze how their role was pre 1857. You might be knowing some 2-3 names. First of all, it was Bhima Bai Holkar. Bhima Bai Holkar. Bhima Bai Holkar actually led the guerrilla war against British. Secondly, Rani Chennamma. Thirdly, Rani Begum Hazrat Mahal. Rani Begum Hazrat Mahal of Awadh. They all led the fight or the struggle against, especially armed struggle against British. So how can we say their role was just help us? Actually, the role was of crusaders, right? And then in the 1857, 1857 revolt, it was the first one was pre. Second is about 1857 role. You know that Rani Lakshmi Bai, etc. She fought very courageously against these British forces. So again, she led the armed revolt. Armed revolt. Then we'll focus on the third point during Swadeshi. Swadeshi. The role of women was to promote satyagraha, promote Swadeshi promotion. Then second role was shops picketing. Third was peaceful protest, etc., etc. Then we'll focus on this, fourth, non-cooperation movement. During non-cooperation movement, women actually participated in satyagraha with very non-violence, etc., non-violent forms. Actually, in non-cooperation movement, non-violence, this technique was suitable to the inner character of women. That's why you can say in satyagraha, or you can say in the non-cooperation movement, actually the very qualities of the women were came forth, and where they just did not play the role as helpers. They played a very active role as crusaders in picketing the shops, in demonstrating, in peaceful protesting, marching, sloganeering, prayers with Mahatma Gandhi, etc., etc. So non-cooperation movement was non-violent. Satyagraha, still their role was as crusaders. And then we'll focus on the fifth major event. The first is pre-1857. Second was during 1857. Third was during Swadeshi. Fourth is non-cooperation movement. Then fifth is civil disobedience movement. The fifth event was civil disobedience movement. Here we can see a huge, you can see a very huge participation, very active participation by women, especially in marching and breaking laws. In the form of marching and breaking the laws. Tridium. You can give example of Sarojini Naidu. She led Dharasana Satyagraha. Where she broke salt laws. Dharasana Satyagraha. Lastly, you can go for revolutionary activities like Bina Das, Samiti and Suniti, Kalpana Datta, Pritilada Vadedar. And lastly, you can go for Quit India movement, where again very active role as a crusader role was observed by women. For example, Usha Mehta, where she founded a radio station, underground activities, etc., etc. So likewise, with the help of timeline, we can go where the women's role was actually crusaders and not helpers. Just to revise, the first is after pre-1857. Second role where they played very important role was 1857, revolt of 1857. Thirdly, very important contribution was in the form of Swadeshi. Third, non-cooperation. Then next was CDM, that is civil disobedience movement. Then in the meanwhile, CDM, after CDM and before Quit India movement, there were some violent activities, revolutionary activities. In that also, women participated in very actively. And lastly, in the Quit India movement, of course, yes, जसं की तुम्ही सांगाल example, Usha Mehta, Kriplani, etc., etc., they participate actively. So simple. Quit India movement was again the foundation of this parallel governments and underground activities, where the role of crusaders and the role of women were equated. To conclude with, the role, the question will focus on the question again. The role played by women in Indian freedom struggle has been that of helpers other than crusaders, critically examined. So we critically examined that. Actually, how we examined, so it was not just helpers, it was actually the crusaders. They played the role of crusaders. म्हणजे काय की त्यांनी ऍक्च्युली ऍक्टिव्हली रोल पार्टिसिपेट केला. सो टू कन्क्लूड करताना तुम्हाला हेच करावं लागेल की यार की विदाउट देअर कॉन्ट्रीब्युशन इंडियन फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल हे इन्क्लुझिव्ह बनलं नसतं आणि हू नोज कितके लवकर आपलं इंडिपेंडन्स भेटलंही असतं का नाही. सो पॉइंट इज दॅट की बिकॉज ऑफ द पार्टिसिपेशन, ऍक्टिव्ह पार्टिसिपेशन ऑफ वुमेन in freedom struggle, it widened the base, it encouraged the people, you can say it uplifted the moral of the leadership even, की लोक लिडरशिपला पण वाटलं की अरे वा लोक पण एंट्री करतायत आणि वुमेन सुद्धा. सो इट ऑल्सो रेज द मोरल ऑफ द लिडरशिप विच लेड टू द इंडियन फ्रीडम और इंडियन इंडिपेंडेंस, राइट. सो नेक्स्टली क्वेश्चन नंबर 8. We'll read the question first. Question number 8. Discuss the various peasant movements and their impact that took place during freedom struggle. Question is very, very simple. First is the demand of the question. First, you have to discuss various movements. Discuss the movements. Various movements. When you have to explain those. And second, the impact that took place during the Indian freedom struggle. And second is about impact of these movements. Impact of these movements. So, as they have asked particularly about the peasant movements, we will start with this keyword as our introduction. So, the basic idea of the introduction will be what are the peasant movements, or what were the peasant movements, these peasant movements. You know that during this early British era, the land settlement policies, then exploitative economic policies, commercialization of agriculture, and more importantly, after the advent of industrial revolution, systematic deindustrialization of India. It all led to the agricultural distress, or you can say distress among peasants. Okay, land settlement जसं की जमीनदारी, रयतवारी, then economic policies जसं की raw material trade किंवा तुम्ही सांगा 3 कटिया etc. then commercialization of agriculture जसं की 3 कटिया, deindustrialization ऑफ इंडिया. ह्याच्यामुळे काय झालं की पुन्हा फार्म लँड्स वरचं प्रेशर वाढलं, कारण खूप सारी पॉप्युलेशन पुन्हा ऍग्रिकल्चर मध्ये जायला लागली, त्याच्यामुळे प्रेशर वाढायला लागलं. ह्या सगळ्यांचा परिणाम हा झाला की ऍग्रिकल्चरल डिस्ट्रेस किंवा पीझंट्स डिस्ट्रेस. ओके, सो बेसिकली पीझंट मुवमेंट काय होत्या, दे वेर दी स्ट्रगल्स और फाइट इन व्हेरियस फॉर्म्स अगेन्स्ट दिस डिस्ट्रेस. डिस्ट्रेसचा कॉज हा सिंपल. सो आपण आता बॉडी पार्ट फोकस करू. इंट्रोडक्शन मध्ये आपण सांगितलं की नेमका हा पीझंट मुवमेंट आहे काय आणि ह्याचे नेमके कॉज होते काय. आणि आता आपण पार्ट वर येऊ की यार इट इज 15 मार्कर. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल दे हॅव आस्क्ड डिस्कस द व्हेरियस व्हॉट. आता डिस्कशन पार्ट मध्ये तुम्हाला काय करायचंय की तुम्हाला सांगायचं की ऍक्च्युली व्हॉट द मुवमेंट वॉज. विल राईट द नेम ऑफ प्रोसेस फर्स्ट. आपण सांगू की त्याचा कॉज काय होता, की कुणी ऑर्गनाइज केली ती, अगेन्स्ट हुम, देन तुम्ही सांगणार की ते कुठल्या रिजन मध्ये होती. त्याच्यानंतर तुम्ही हे पण सांगणार की तिथं सोल्युशन कसं निघालं किंवा त्याची कुठल्या प्रकारची फायटिंग स्ट्रॅटेजी होती है ना, स्ट्रॅटेजी की ती एक आर्म रिवॉल्ट होता, की ती पीसफुल होती, की ती कॉन्स्टिट्युशनल मीन्स न फाईट केली गेली होती. नंतर तुम्ही सांगाल की एनी स्पेशालिटी अबाउट दॅट पर्टिक्युलर मुवमेंट, एनी स्पेशल फीचर. जसं की तुम्हाला माहिती आहे पाबनामध्ये किंवा तुम्ही म्हणजे इंटेलिजन्सला कॉन्ट्रीब्युशन खूप जास्त होतं. सो यू कॅन गो फॉर लाईक इंडिगो रिवॉल्टच्या वेळेस इंटेलिजन्सला आणि खूप जास्त पार्टिसिपेट केलं. सो एनी स्पेशल फीचर अबाउट दॅट मुवमेंट. सिम्पल. सो यू विल राईट व्हॉट वॉज इट्स कॉज, कोणी सुरू केली ती, कुणाच्या अगेन्स्ट सुरू केली ती, कुठल्या रिजन मध्ये होती, त्यांची स्ट्रॅटेजी नेमकी काय होती, काही इम्पॉर्टंट फीचर आहेत का, नंतर त्या मुवमेंटचं सोल्युशन काय निघलं का, है ना. सिम्पल. सो सिम्पल कॉज टू सोल्युशन हे तुमचं स्ट्रक्चर असणार. पण पॉइंट असा आहे की आपल्याला त्याने विचारलंय की डिस्कस काही मुवमेंट डिस्कस करायला सांगितलं. म्हणजे ऍटलिस्ट तुम्हाला हा 15 मार्कर क्वेश्चन आहे, तर आपण एकदा पेज बघून घेऊ का आपल्याला कसं डिवाइड करता येईल. आणि हा जर 15 मार्कर आहे म्हणजे आपल्याकडे 3 पेजेस आहेत. आणि ह्या 2 पुन्हा सब पार्ट्स आहेत ऍक्च्युली क्वेश्चन मध्ये. तर पहिला एक डिस्कसचा आहे आणि दुसरा सब पार्ट जो आहे तो की इम्पॅक्ट, राईट. सो आपण एक सिंपल डिफरन्शिएट करू की त्याला इंट्रोड्यूस केलं की व्हॉट वेअर द पीझंट मुवमेंट. मग जो फर्स्ट पार्ट आहे ना की डिस्कशन ऑफ दिस, तो आपण थोडासा त्याला स्ट्रेच करू, म्हणजे त्याला इथपर्यंत येऊ देऊ. म्हणजे आपण एक ऍटलिस्ट 5 पीझंट मुवमेंट डिस्कस करू, 5 ऍटलिस्ट, राईट. सो एक आहे, मग तुम्ही हे 3-4 लाईन मध्ये लिहिणार. दुसरी, मग तिला एक्सप्लेन करणार 3-4-5 लाईन मध्ये. मग थर्ड मुवमेंट है ना, मग तिला एक्सप्लेन केलं. देन फोर्थ मुवमेंट तिला डिस्कस केलं. देन 5वी मुवमेंट, देन तिला डिस्कस केलं. असं करत करत तुम्ही 5 तिला त्यांना समजून सांगितल्या 5 मुवमेंट्स. आणि सेकंड पार्टवर मग गेले की त्याचा इम्पॅक्ट काय होतो. मग इम्पॅक्ट तुम्ही पॉइंट मध्ये पण घेऊ शकता. अँड देन कन्क्लूड. हा एक अप्रोच झाला. म्हणजे फर्स्ट तुम्ही इंट्रोड्यूस केलं, सिंपल पहिला पार्ट घेतला की मुवमेंट्स तुम्ही डिस्कस केल्या 5 ऍटलिस्ट, आणि देन त्याचे इम्पॅक्ट दिले 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा. एक सेकंड अप्रोच असा पण होऊ शकतो की तुम्ही टेबल फॉर्म मध्ये जाणार, इथे लिहिणार की मुवमेंट, जसं की फॉर एक्झाम्पल इंडिगो रिवॉल्ट, आणि त्याचे इम्पॅक्ट ऍटलिस्ट 2-2 है ना. ह्याचे इम्पॅक्ट A, B. मग ह्याला लाईन मारली, मग दुसरा घेतला, मग ह्याचे इम्पॅक्ट, तिसरा घेतला, इम्पॅक्ट, लाईकवाईज. असे तुम्ही 3 पान भरणार. सिंपल. असं पण एक अप्रोच घेतो. टेबल हा थोडासा इनोव्हेटिव्ह वे होईल की ज्यानं तुम्हाला खूप सिस्टमॅटिकल त्याला एक्सप्लेन करता येईल, सगळे वर्ड भरायची गरज नाही. तिसरा एक अप्रोच होऊ शकतो पॅराग्राफ फॉर्म मध्ये, की तुम्ही सांगणार फर्स्ट की त्याला असं लिहिणार की बाबा पहिली एक मुवमेंट असं की इंडिगो रिवॉल्ट, मग त्याला तुम्ही पॅराग्राफ फॉर्म मध्ये सांगत चालणार की हे का झालं, कुणाच्या विरुद्ध होतं, त्याचं काय प्रॉब्लेम झाला, काय सोल्युशन निघलं, त्याचे काय फीचर होते, आणि प्लस त्याचा इम्पॅक्ट पण काय होतं. तुम्ही लगेच त्याच्यामध्ये पण ऍड करणार त्याचा इम्पॅक्ट पॅराग्राफ फॉर्म मध्ये की यार इम्पॅक्ट पण असा होता. झालं. असे करत करत तुम्हाला 5 पॉईंट लिहायचे, 5-6 त्याला समजून सांगायचे. अशा 3 अप्रोच निघू शकतात. कुठला अप्रोच, मग आपण त्याला हे सांगू की यार कुठल्या कुठल्या आपण जनरली चॉईस करू शकतो. तर एक जनरल सिलेक्शन आपलं असू शकतं की कुठल्या पण भरपूर आहेत प्रेझेंट मुवमेंट्स एन नंबर ऑफ देअर. सो पहिला आपण ऑफकोर्स तरी त्यातल्या त्यात इम्पॉर्टंट घेऊ आपण, की पहिलं की इंडिगो घेऊ, दुसरा घेऊ आपण डेक्कन राइट्स, बिकॉज दे वर इन व्हायलेंट फॉर्म, डेक्कन राइट्स. तिसरा तुम्ही घेऊ शकता पाबना. चौथा तुम्ही घेऊ शकता चंपारण, बिकॉज इट वॉज फर्स्ट सिव्हिल डिसोबिडियन्स. पाचवा तुम्ही घेऊ शकता मोपला. बिकॉज इथं कम्युनल टेंडन्सी दिसतात आपल्याला. इथं सिव्हिल डिसओबिडियन्स दिसतो, इथं डायरेक्ट लूट दिसते और व्हायलन्स दिसतो. नाही सॉरी, इथे डेक्कन राईट्स है ना. अँड देन तुम्ही आणखी कधी घेतली तर तुम्हाला जसं की खेडा आहे, और बरडोली आहे, किंवा तिभागा आहे, किंवा तेलंगणा पण आहे. ह्यात भरपूर आहे. सिलेक्शन इज टू मच. म्हणजे तुम्ही एक आय रिकमेंड की एक 5 ते 7 मुवमेंट जर एक्सप्लेन करू शकलं तर इट विल बी गुड, प्लस त्याचे इम्पॅक्ट्स. सो आय होप की हा पॉइंट ओके. इम्पॅक्ट जसं की तुम्ही सांगू शकता त्याला की, आणि हा ह्या सगळ्या मुवमेंट समजून सांगताना आपल्या त्या स्ट्रक्चरमध्ये की त्याचे कॉजेस काय होते, ती कुणाच्या विरुद्ध होती, कुणी तयार केली होती, त्याचे सोल्युशन्स काय निघाले, काही स्पेशल फीचर आहेत का, असं समजून सांगायचं. इम्पॅक्ट मध्ये तुम्ही सांगू शकता की येस ऑफकोर्स की these movements, this peasants movement actually raise the awareness about these peasants issues. What are their legal rights? Then you can go for ki actually they made people aware about the actual true nature of the Britishers. Secondly, you can go like it inspired the other events, other wars, जसे की Sikh wars in Punjab. Thirdly, त्याचा परिणाम हा पण झाला की peasants cause was linked to the freedom struggle. Fourthly, it pressurized the government for the relief work. जसं की फॉर एक्झाम्पल इंडिगो कमिशन बसवलं किंवा डेक्कन ऍग्रिकल्चरल रिलीफ ऍक्ट बनवला. सो येस ऑफकोर्स की ह्या पीझंट मुवमेंट्समुळे गव्हर्नमेंटला सोल्युशन काढण्याला भाग पडलं. त्याला आपण म्हणू की इट प्रेशराइज द गव्हर्नमेंट फॉर द रिलीफ. पाचवा, व्हेरियस किसान सभा ऑर्गनाईज केल्या गेल्या. व्हेरियस किसान सभाज जसं की युनायटेड प्रोव्हिन्सेस किसान सभा, ऑल इंडिया किसान सभा, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा. म्हणजे काय की इथून पुढे पीझंट लोक ऑर्गनाईज व्हायला लागले, पॉलिटिसाइज व्हायला लागले. त्यांनी एक ऑर्गनायझेशन तयार केली त्यांच्या कॉजसाठी. अँड देन त्याच्याने काय झालं की टोटली नॅशनलिझम वाढलं, एक नॅशनलिझमची वेव आली आणि पीझंटचं कॉन्ट्रीब्युशन इन नॅशनलिझम वाढलं. सो यू कॅन कन्क्लूड की हाऊ देअर रोल अँड देन कॉन्ट्रीब्युशन इन द फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल वॉज इन्क्रीज. आणि ह्याचा फायदा असा झाला की बेस वाढला. तो हा क्वेश्चन जो होता तो होता की अबाउट व्हेरियस पीझंट मुवमेंट्स, आणि आपण तर समजून सांगितलं कुठल्या कुठल्या पीझंट मुवमेंट आहेत, ते कुठल्या कुठल्या प्रकारे डायमेन्शन मध्ये आपण बघितलं, आणि लास्टला तुम्ही त्याला हे सांगितलं की यार त्याचा इम्पॅक्ट काय झाला. राईट, हा झाला 15 मार्कर क्वेश्चन. नाउ द क्वेश्चन नंबर 9. Question number 9 is about examine the impact of the global events on Indian freedom struggle and how India's independence influenced the other countries. Very beautiful question. Question is about ki what was, which were the events globally were happening at that time. Those have impacted Indian freedom struggle, and subsequently how Indian freedom struggle reversely contributed to the various different events globally. So question number 9, the demand of the question. Demand is two-way. The first demand is global events and its impact on Indian freedom struggle. And second, Indian independence and its impact on global events. Okay, na? Indian independence and its impact on global events. Simple. So, आपण आता अगेन ॲज इट इज 15 मार्कर क्वेश्चन. सो 3 पेजेस आहेत आपल्याकडे. सो फर्स्ट, सेकंड पेज अँड वी हॅव थर्ड पेज. आणि त्यात आपल्याला 2 डिमांड आहेत. पहिली डिमांड आहे की कुठल्या कुठल्या ग्लोबल इव्हेंट आणि इंडियाचा इंडिपेंडन्स. सो सिम्पल, ह्याला आपण 50-50 देऊन टाकू. ह्याला 50% वेट, ह्याला 50% वेट. सो 50 म्हणल्यावर तुमचं इंट्रोडक्शन गेलं, तुमचं कन्क्लुजन गेलं. आता जो पार्ट उरलाय तो हा जो पहिला डिमांड इथून सुरू होईल ती ह्याच्या हाफ पर्यंत येऊन जाईल, आणि सेकंड डिमांड जी सुरू होईल क्वेश्चनची ती इथपर्यंत येऊन जाईल. असा क्वेश्चन स्ट्रक्चर आहे. युअर इंट्रोडक्शन, युअर बॉडी पार्ट स्टार्ट फ्रॉम हिअर to here, and here is conclusion. Right now we'll focus on the content part. The first demand is global events, त्याचा impact झाला ऑन इंडियन स्ट्रगल. राईट. तर कुठल्या कुठल्या इव्हेंट आपण ते बघू आणि त्याचा कसा इम्पॅक्ट झाला ते बघू. सो सगळ्यात इम्पॉर्टंट जी ग्लोबल इव्हेंट होती त्याचा परिणाम खूप मोठ्या प्रमाणावर झाला. त्याचा सगळ्यात पहिली इव्हेंट होती वर्ल्ड वॉर वन. ऑफकोर्स येस, वर्ल्ड वॉर वनच्या पण आधी काही इव्हेंट आहेत, पण त्याचा इम्पॅक्ट एवढा मोठ्या लेवलला नव्हता की जेवढा वर्ल्ड वॉर वनचा आहे. सो वर्ल्ड वॉर वनने काय झालं की इट इन्क्रीज द रिसेंटमेंट अमॉंग पीपल. का? वर्ल्ड वॉर टू ने झालं काय की सगळ्यात इम्पॉर्टंट इकॉनॉमी कोलॅप्स व्हायला लागली. इकॉनॉमी है ना. त्याच्यामुळे काय झालं की सगळ्यांमध्ये रिसेंटमेंट वाढत होती, म्हणून एक नॅशनलिझमची वेव आली. सेकंड, तुम्हाला हे माहिती की रशियन रिव्होल्युशन, त्यानं काय झालं, रशियन रिव्होल्युशन प्रोपगेटेड द आयडियाज ऑफ सोशलिझम अँड कम्युनिझम. ज्यानं काय झालं की पीझंट्स आणि लेबरर्स ह्या दोघांचे इश्यू इंडियन इंडिपेंडन्सचा पार्ट बनले. सो द इश्यूज ऑफ peasants and laborers now were to be considered as an integral part of the Indian freedom struggle. Russian Revolution. Third important event that impacted, that influenced the Indian freedom struggle was Khalifat issue. ज्यानं स्टार्ट झाली नॉन कॉपरेशन मुवमेंट. जरी ती फेल गेली तरी त्यांनी पुढच्या खूप इव्हेंट्सला एनकरेजमेंट दिली, जसं की सिव्हिल डिसोबिडियन्स अँड क्विट इंडिया अँड अल्टिमेटली इंडिपेंडन्स. चौथी मेजर इव्हेंट होती आयरिश होम रूल मुवमेंट. ज्यानं इंडियन होम रूल मुवमेंट सुरू झाली है ना. तुम्हाला माहिती की टिळक आणि बेझंट, ज्यानं काय झालं की पुन्हा इंडियन सगळ्या इंडियन लोकांना, ऍक्च्युअली पर्पज काय होता इंडियन होम रूलचा की टू मेक पॉलिटिकली अवेअर, टू मेक पीपल पॉलिटिकली अवेअर, पॉलिटिकल अवेअरनेस. अँड देन फिफ्थ यू कॅन गो फॉर वर्ल्ड वॉर टू. वर्ल्ड वॉर टूचा इम्पॅक्ट होता की ब्रिटिश कॅपॅसिटी कमी पडत असल्यामुळं की प्रेशर फ्रॉम अलाइज वॉज देअर की बाबा टू सीक दी कोऑर्डिनेशन टू कॉपरेशन ऑफ दी ब्रिटिश पीपल, सॉरी इंडियन पीपल. त्यामुळे काय झालं की ब्रिटिशांना बार्गन करावं लागलं शेवटी की इंडिपेंडन्ससाठी. अँड दॅट्स वाय हळूहळू आपण करत कॅबिनेट मिशन प्लॅन पर्यंत, क्रिप्स पासून कॅबिनेट पर्यंत पोहोचलो. आणि वर्ल्ड वॉर टूचा सगळ्यात इम्पॉर्टंट परिणाम होता की प्रेशरमुळे आपण कॅबिनेट मिशन पर्यंत पोहोचलो. कॅबिनेट मिशन प्लॅन ज्यानं आपल्याला इंडिपेंडन्सचा प्लॅन दिला. सिम्पल. सो सगळ्यात इम्पॉर्टंट वर्ल्ड वॉर टू, रशियन रिव्होल्युशन, खलिफात इश्यू, आयरिश होम रूल आणि वर्ल्ड वॉर टू. अजून भरपूर निघतील ऑफकोर्स. येस. सो लिमिटिंग आवरसेल्फ टू दी 5 पॉइंट्स. ओके. सो ह्या 5 इव्हेंट सफिशियंट. सेकंड जो आन्सरचा जो पार्ट असणार आहे तो पार्ट असणार आहे की आता आपला इंडिपेंडन्स मिळाला, आता हा इंडियन इंडिपेंडन्स बाकी ग्लोबल इम्पॅक्ट कसा सोडून गेला. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल तुम्हाला हे माहितीये की इंडियाच्या इंडिपेंडन्समुळे बाकीच्या कंट्रीजला एनकरेजमेंट मिळाली इंडिपेंडन्स मिळवायला. म्हणजे काय की इट एनकरेज द फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल्स अमॉंग व्हेरियस अदर नेबरिंग कंट्रीज अँड ग्लोबल कंट्रीज. सो इट एनकरेज द फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल्स. जसं की म्यानमार ज्याला स्वातंत्र्य मिळालं एनकरेजमेंट मुळे 1948ला, आणि इंडोनेशिया सुद्धा ज्याला 1949 आय थिंक स्वातंत्र्य मिळालं. आणि ह्या दोघांचं इन्स्पिरेशन इंडियन फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल होता. राईट. सेकंडली इंडियन इंडिपेंडन्स मुळे काय झालं, इंडियन इंडिपेंडन्स ह्या इव्हेंटमुळं की इट इन्क्रीज्ड द पेस ऑफ द प्रोसेस ऑफ डिकॉलोनायझेशन. है ना. प्रोसेस ऑफ डिकॉलोनायझेशन एस्पेशली फ्रॉम आफ्रिका. आफ्रिकन डिकॉलोनायझेशन सुरू झालं. कसं? लिबिया, मोरोको, नायजेरिया, एटसेट्रा. ह्या कंट्रीजला इंडिपेंडन्स मिळायला सुरुवात झाली हळूहळू. म्हणून ह्यानं काय झालं की हळूहळू ज्या कॉलोनियल पॉवर्स होत्या जसं की इंग्लंड है ना, फ्रान्स, पोर्तुगाल एटसेट्रा, हे सगळ्यांनी विड्रॉ करायला सुरुवात केली. विड्रॉ केलं हळूहळू. त्याला आपण म्हणतो की इट इन्क्रीज द पेस ऑफ डिकॉलोनायझेशन, द स्पीड ऑफ डिकॉलोनायझेशन. थर्ड मेजर इम्पॅक्ट वॉज दॅट सत्याग्रह, नॉन व्हायलन्स एटसेट्रा ह्या सगळ्या मेथड्स ग्लोबल लेवलला पोहोचल्या. म्हणजे इंडियासारखी कंट्री जर सत्याग्रह ह्या नॉन व्हायलंट मेथडनं इंडिपेंडन्स मिळू शकते, तर ह्या टेक्निक पासून इन्स्पिरेशन घेऊन मार्टिन लुथर किंग आणि तुम्हाला माहिती आहे की नेल्सन मंडेला यांनी फाईट केलं. मार्टिन लुथर किंगने स्पेशली अमेरिकेमध्ये जिथे सिव्हिल राईट्स साठी फाईट केलं, आणि दुसरा साऊथ आफ्रिकेत इंडिपेंडन्स मध्ये नेल्सन मंडेलांचा रोल. सो जे टेक्निक आहेत इंडियन इनोव्हेशन, सत्याग्रह अँड नॉन व्हायलन्स, ह्या टेक्निक ग्लोबल लेवलला पोहोचल्या. आणि ह्यानं काय झालं की एक नवीन टेक्निक मिळाला लोकांना फाईट करायला इंडिपेंडन्स म्हणजे कॉलोनायझेशनच्या अगेन्स्ट. त्यात तुम्ही मेन्शन करू शकता की मार्टिन ल्युथर किंग आणि मोर इम्पॉर्टंटली नेल्सन मंडेला है ना, साऊथ आफ्रिकेसाठी अपार्थाईडच्या अगेन्स्ट फाईट करायला साऊथ आफ्रिका अपार्थाईड. सो 3 मेजर कॉन्ट्रीब्युशन्स आहेत इंडियन इंडिपेंडन्स इव्हेंट्सचे. सगळ्यात इम्पॉर्टंट की ज्यानं बाकीच्या फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल्सला इन्स्पायर केलं, नंतर त्यानं डिकॉलोनायझेशनच्या प्रोसेसला फास्ट केलं, आणि तिसरा इंडियन इंडिपेंडन्सनं जगाला नवीन टेक्निक दिला फाईट करण्याच्या. त्या टेक्निकचं नाव होतं सत्याग्रह, नॉन व्हायलन्स, ट्रूथ, लव्ह है ना एटसेट्रा. आणि कन्क्लूड करताना तुम्हाला हे सांगता येईल की स्टील आजही ह्या ज्या व्हॅल्यूज आहेत, ह्या नवीन स्टाईल्स आहेत, ह्या खूप म्हणजे आपण ग्लोबल लेवलला जरी आज कॉलोनायझेशन हा प्रॉब्लेम नसला तरी आज आपण बऱ्याचशा प्रॉब्लेम्स म्हणून जातोय, जसं की क्लायमेट चेंज आहे, त्यानंतर तुम्ही ह्युमन राईट्सचं व्हायोलेशन आहे एटसेट्रा. तुम्ही हे सांगू शकता की हाऊ दिस टेक्निक्स आर स्टील रिलेव्हंट टुडे, हाऊ अवर फाईट फॉर इंडिपेंडन्स वॉज इथिकल ऑन द इथिकल बेसिस, आणि जे आज आपण आजचे प्रॉब्लेम्स पण ह्या टेक्निकनं सॉल्व्ह करू शकतो. फॉर एक्झाम्पल रोहिंग्या इश्यू, जसं की म्यानमारचा किंवा यू कॅन गो फॉर लाईक अफगाणिस्तान इश्यू आहे. तर आजही कॉलोनायझेशन गेलं असलं किंवा पर्टिक्युलरली ते कॉलोनायझेशन नसलं तरी आजचे ग्लोबल इश्यूज फाईट करायला ह्या टेक्निक्स किंवा इंडियन इंडिपेंडन्स मुवमेंट ही आजही एक उदाहरण म्हणून ऑफकोर्स येस इट कॅन बी एन एक्झाम्पल टू सॉल्व्ह दिस इश्यूज, राईट. अँड आय होप ओके कन्क्लुजन पार्ट थोडा आपण करंटला रिलेट केलं. अँड नाव the question number 10, lastly, question number 10 is about what was the reason behind Swadeshi movement. Simple. Swadeshi's reason काय? Discuss the agitational methods adopted during the movement and impact. So first demand is reason. Second demand is agitation methods. And the third demand is impact of this movement. So reason behind आणि introduction हा सेम होऊ शकतं. स्टील तुम्ही इंट्रोडक्शन तुम्ही एखाद्या जसं की जी हिस्ट्रीची लँग्वेज आहे जसं की इयर एटसेट्रा हे सुरू करू शकता 1905, किंवा नेमकं ह्याचं रिझन काय होतं की बाबा जे ब्रिटिशचं रिझन होतं की त्यांना डिवाइड अँड रूल खेळायचं होतं, रिजन थोडा मोठा होता त्यांना आपण पर्टिक्युलरली जे रिझन होतं ते होतं की त्यांना जी डिवाइड अँड रूल थ्रू हे आयडिया सगळ्यात ओढत होत्या नॅशनलिझमच्या, आणि त्यांनी कारण सांगितलं की ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव्ह ईज. तर आपण त्याला एक ऑफिशियली व्यवस्थित सांगता येईल की यार नेमकं ह्याचं स्वदेशी मुवमेंटचं रिझन काय होतं. तर ही मुवमेंट झाली सुरू का बरं झाली, तर मुवमेंट सुरू होण्याचं मागचं रिझन होतं की लोकांना असं वाटलं की हे जे बेंगालचं पार्टिशन बेंगाल पार्टिशन ऑफ 1905, लोकांना वाटलं की हा एक डिव्हिजिव्ह टेक्निक आहे, डिव्हिजिव्ह टॅक्टिक आहे, डिव्हिजिव्ह tactic. It was perceived as divisive tactic by people, viewed by people, है ना, divisive tactic. ह्याच्या अगेन्स्ट लोकांनी फाईट केलं, अगेन्स्ट धिस, आणि ह्या मुवमेंटचं नाव होतं स्वदेशी. सिंपल. देन आता तुम्ही हे इंट्रोडक्शन केलं, मग तुम्ही बॉडी पार्टवर जाऊ शकता. बॉडी पार्टला सांगणार की यार नेमकेचे रिझन्स काय होते. सगळ्यात पहिलं येस, ट्रिगर रिझन तर हाच होता की पार्टिशन आणि डिवाइड अँड रूल. सेकंड, इकॉनॉमिक हार्डशिप्स. त्यावेळेसचे इकॉनॉमिक प्रॉब्लेम्स पर्टिक्युलरली. तिसरा, सगळ्यात इम्पॉर्टंट की इंडियन युनिव्हर्सिटीज कमिशन ऍक्ट, हा एक त्यांनी लॉ आणला होता, इंडियन युनिव्हर्सिटीज है ना कमिशन ऍक्ट ऑफ 1904. ह्यानं काय होणार होतं, ह्या ऍक्टनं ग्रेटर कंट्रोल ऑन इंडियन युनिव्हर्सिटीज, जे की एक थ्रेट समजलं गेलं इंडियन युनिव्हर्सिटीच्या इंडिपेंडन्सला किंवा लोकांच्या सेंटिमेंट्सला किंवा एज्युकेशन इन्स्टिट्यूशनला एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा. तो हा जो ऍक्ट आहे तो एक थ्रेटनिंग होता. देन फोर्थ वॉज कलकत्ता कॉर्पोरेशन ऍक्ट. कॉर्पोरेशन ऍक्ट ऑफ 1899 ह्याला अमेंड केलं गेलं आणि ह्याचा इंडियन नंबर जो इंडियन मेंबरचा हा कमी केला आणि युरोपियन और ब्रिटिशचा नंबर वाढवला मेंबर्सचा. त्यामुळे ऑफकोर्स येस राग होता. पाचवा तुम्ही सांगू शकता पंजाब लँड ऍक्ट एटसेट्रा. आय थिंक इथपर्यंत ठीक आहे की पार्टिशन, इकॉनॉमिक डिस्ट्रेस, इंडियन युनिव्हर्सिटीज ऍक्ट आणि कलकत्ता कॉर्पोरेशन ऍक्ट हे रिझन होते, ऍक्च्युअली टेक्निकल रिझन्स. दुसरा पार्ट त्यांनी विचारलाय की बाबा की ह्याचे मेथड्स काय होत्या, एज्युकेशन मेथड्स. ऑफकोर्स येस सोपं आहे. पहिलं की हे एक पॅसिव्ह रेजिस्टन्स होतं. पॅसिव्ह म्हणजे इनिशियली त्यांनी प्रेयर्स पेटिशन्स मधून गेले, पण नंतर त्यांनी पॅसिव्ह जसं की बॉयकॉटिंग केले, राईट. त्याला आपण पीसफुल स्ट्राईक्स पण म्हणतो, बॉयकॉटिंग म्हणतो. सेकंड, त्यामधली एक स्टाईल अजून एक इंट्रोड्यूस झाली गेली की जी हिंदू मुस्लिम युनिटी ही त्यांची एक एज्युकेशनची मेथड होती. तिसरा, दे बॉयकॉटेड द ब्रिटिश प्रोडक्ट्स अँड एनकरेज्ड प्रमोटेड फॉर द इंडिजिनस प्रोडक्ट, त्याला आपण स्वदेशी म्हणतो. बॉयकॉटेड द ब्रिटिश प्रोडक्ट्स. नंतर लेबर स्ट्राईक्स वेअर ऑल्सो ऑर्गनाइज्ड. फिफ्थ, स्वदेशी म्हणजे इट एनकरेज इंडस्ट्रीज विच आर पर्टिक्युलर टू इंडियन्स, म्हणजे इंडिजिनस इंडस्ट्रीजचं प्रमोशन. सिक्स्थ, नॅशनल एज्युकेशनला प्रमोट केलं गेलं. सातवा, रिलिजनला खूप इनोव्हेटिव्हली आपण त्याला इनोव्हेट केलं गेलं, जसं की टिळकांना शिवाजी फेस्टिवल आणि गणपती फेस्टिवल थ्रू लोकांना युनाइट केलं, म्हणजे रिलिजनचा इनोव्हेटिव्ह वापर आपण केला. आणि आठवा, कल्चरल स्पेअर मध्ये पण आपल्याला इनोव्हेशन दिसतं, जसं की टागोर, बंकिमचंद्र चॅटर्जी एक्सेट्रा ह्यांनी पोएम्स, लिटरेचर ह्यामधून पण एनकरेज अँड लोकांचा मोरल अप करण्यासाठी हेल्प केली. सो खूप नवीन नवीन टेक्निक वापरल्या स्वदेशीमध्ये. सिम्पल, व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट क्वेश्चन वॉज दॅट पर्टिक्युलर क्वेश्चन की व्हॉट वेअर दी ऍक्च्युअली एज्युकेशन मेथड्स यूज ड्युरिंग स्वदेशी. समितीज पण स्थापन केल्या ऑफकोर्स येस, जसं की एक ग्रुप है ना. नंतर ह्याचा इम्पॅक्ट काय झाला, इम्पॅक्टला आपण आणखी तोडू शकतो की पॉझिटिव्ह इम्पॅक्ट, निगेटिव्ह इम्पॅक्ट. स्टील एक ग्रुप करून लिहायचं असेल तर आपण सांगू शकतो की ऑफकोर्स येस स्वदेशी मुवमेंटमध्ये पार्टिसिपेशन वाढलं होतं. स्वदेशी मुवमेंट ही नॉन कॉर्पोरेशनच्या आधीची. आपण म्हणतो की नॉन कॉर्पोरेशनमध्ये गांधी एरा सुरू झाला फ्रीडम फाईटचा. नंतर वुमेन आणि स्टुडंटचं खूप लार्ज प्रमाणात पार्टिसिपेशन नॉन कॉर्पोरेशनला दिसतं, पण स्टील स्वदेशी मुवमेंट हा स्टार्ट होता जिथं पार्टिसिपेशन ऑफ स्टुडंट्स अँड वुमेन वॉज ऑब्झर्व्ड इन द लार्ज क्वांटिटी. सेकंड, आपण त्यांना हे डायरेक्टली सांगणार की स्वदेशी मुवमेंटचा इम्पॅक्ट हा झाला की इट रिड्यूस द फॉरेन इम्पोर्ट्स है ना, अँड इट एनकरेज द इंडियन डोमेस्टिक इंडस्ट्री. थर्ड, हा एक कॉन्फिडन्स देऊन गेला स्वदेशी आपल्यामध्ये की आत्मशक्ती कॉन्फिडन्स, ज्याला आज आपण म्हणतो की आत्मनिर्भर भारत, तसं ते एक व्हर्जन होतं आपलं त्यावेळेस 1905चं. त्याने काय दिलं की आत्मशक्तीचं व्हर्जन दिलं, म्हणजे आपण फाईट करू शकतो, आपण आपल्या पायावर उभं राहू शकतो. सो इट गेव द सेन्स ऑफ सेल्फ रिलायन्स. फोर्थली, नॅशनल लेवल कव्हरेज मिळालं ह्या इव्हेंटला. त्यामुळे काय झालं की पूर्ण इंडियन नॅशनल लेवलचे नॅशनलिस्ट एकत्र आले, ओपिनियन तयार झालं, पॉलिटिसायझेशन झालं. म्हणजे इम्पॅक्ट काय झालं की काही खूप जास्त प्रमाणात पॉझिटिव्ह झाले, पण ऍट द सेम टाइम एखाद दोन निगेटिव्ह पॉईंट पण त्याला आपण लिहू शकतो की जसं फॉर एक्झाम्पल की टिळकांची जी इनोव्हेटिव्ह मेथड होती वी कॉल इट ॲज रिलिजियस यूज इन द इनोव्हेटिव्ह वे, ज्याला आपण म्हणतो गणपती उत्सव आणि शिवाजी उत्सव. It actually to some extent communalized the sentiments of this protest, Swadeshi movement communalization. Secondly, you can give example like worshipping Ganga, ज्यानं बाकीच्या हिंदू सोडून बाकीच्या रिलिजनला सेपरेट ठेवलं है ना. तो असे काही कम्युनल इव्हेंट झाला की ज्यानं त्याचा इम्पॅक्ट असा झाला की थोडंसं कम्युनलिझमला खतपाणी मिळालं. बेसिकली हा क्वेश्चन असा होता की स्वदेशी मुवमेंटचे रिझन्स काय, त्याच्यासाठी आपण कुठल्या स्वदेशी मुवमेंटच्या ड्युरिंग कुठल्या इनोव्हेटिव्ह टेक्निक्स अँड मुवमेंट एज्युकेशन मेथड्स वापरल्या. आणि थर्ड पॉईंट वॉज की ह्याचा इम्पॅक्ट काय झाला. तर आपण या क्वेश्चनला हँडल कसं केलं की वी इंट्रोड्युस्ड की या स्वदेशी मुवमेंटचा नेमकं रिझन काय होतं, ज्याला आपण म्हणतो की पार्टिशन. आणि ते लोकांना वाटलं की डिव्हिजिव्ह टेक्निक आहे म्हणून लोक उभं राहिले त्या घटनेच्या अगेन्स्ट. रिझन्स बघितले आपण पर्टिक्युलरली 4-5 की एक्झॅक्टली रिझन्स काय होते की स्वदेशी मुवमेंट त्याच्या भोवती होती. तिसरा सेकंड इम्पॉर्टंट पॉईंट आपण हा पण बघितलं की ह्याचे मेथड्स काय होत्या, कुठल्या प्रकारच्या नवीन मेथड्स. आणि तिसरा हा पॉईंट होता की ह्याचे इम्पॅक्ट काय, त्याला आपण सेपरेट करून लिहिणार ह्याचे पॉझिटिव्ह इम्पॅक्ट आणि ह्याचे निगेटिव्ह इम्पॅक्ट, राईट. आणि लास्टली आपण हे कन्क्लूड करू की त्याला सांगू की कन्क्लूड करताना स्वदेशी मुवमेंट ही आजही रिलेव्हंट आहे. म्हणजे आज कोविडच्या रिझनमध्ये आपण कोविडच्या पिरियडमध्ये आपण जे आत्मनिर्भर भारतचा नारा उठवलाय किंवा वोकल फॉर लोकल है ना, तर तुम्हाला ह्यामध्ये स्वदेशी दिसते का कुठे. सो लेट्स से त्याला आपण कन्क्लूड करताना असं पण सांगू शकतो की कोविडच्या पिरियडमध्ये जे आपण आत्मनिर्भर भारत आणि वोकल फॉर लोकल हे 2 नारे लावले, ह्यांचं ऍक्च्युअली फाउंडेशन स्वदेशीमध्ये. डोंट यू सी दॅट. म्हणजे स्वदेशी मुवमेंटनं आपल्याला फ्युचरसाठी इन्स्पायर केलं की इंडिया कॅन बिकम वर्ल्ड लीडर, इंडिया कॅन बिकम सेल्फ रिलायंट. आत्मशक्ती आणि सेल्फ रिलायन्स ह्या बेसिसवर आपण इंडिया आज ग्लोबल लीडर बनू शकतो. सो पॉइंट इज दॅट conclusion shall be futuristic here. We have much scope. Swadeshi movement was actually, it can be considered actually the foundation of the next global power, that is India, which was led in 1905. Okay, so of course I hope की थोडं satisfactory आपण discussion केलं. And I really thank you, Tolrat. Thank you very much. We'll meet again soon on the next topic. Thank you.